In this video, I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of the Apple Studio Display. Here's the story. Disclaimer, first up, this is not going to be a tech spec video on the Apple Studio Display. There are plenty of those videos out there on YouTube right now. This is going to be entirely about me using the Studio Display and why I personally purchased it and why you might consider purchasing it or passing on it. So I got the base version of this display, and for 2,499 Australian dollar dues, I was able to get the standard glass and also the tilt stand. Ultimately, I got this version because of availability, but also when I really thought about it, I didn't need to have the adjustable height because my solution for that, instead of spending another $500 dues, I just bought a monitor stand off Amazon. And the nano texture glass was, in theory, a nice idea, but it's not really that necessary for my studio environment. I do have a light in the background, and when I do look at the screen, it does kind of reflect onto it. However, it's not to the point where it's so distracting that I get really upset about it. I actually don't even notice it when I'm editing. So paying that extra fee to have the nano texture wasn't really something that I thought I needed to invest into. The monitor stand that I have as well does bring the monitor up to the perfect height for me to be able to use with my MacBook Pro. And the stand also houses the audio interface that I use and also the hub that I plug directly into the monitor to be able to give me extra ports for my MacBook Pro. And it also houses a 2TB SSD so I can have extra storage with my MacBook Pro. My monitor, the audio interface, the hub can all then connect to my MacBook Pro through one cable. And that was one of the big selling features for me with getting this monitor. The reason that it's able to do this is because there are 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back, and I can plug different devices into that, and then that will then run directly into my MacBook Pro. And that means I don't need to be constantly plugging in devices into my MacBook Pro, which was something that was starting to annoy me every time I wanted to go from my desk out into the field to use my laptop and then bring it back. I'd have to unplug the HDMI, the power cord, the hub Thunderbolt cord, and any other cords I might have plugged into the laptop. It got a little bit messy, it got a little bit clunky, and I really like having this solution of just having one cord. I keep mentioning this one cord because that was what I was really wanting to have for this solution. However, I did run into a gotcha. When I plug in my archive hard drive solution into the Studio Display, I get this notification that comes up onto my computer and says that I need to plug it directly into the laptop. So unfortunately, this one cable solution has technically become a 2 cable solution. I say technically 2 because I don't always need to have my backup solution turned on and plugged in. So a lot of the time when I'm editing with my laptop, I'll only have one cable plugged in, but when I need to back up projects, that's when I'll then plug in the second cable into the laptop. So I really do like the functionality overall of this laptop, except for that one gotcha. The display looks great. It has a few extra features that I probably won't really ever use. I don't think I will ever use the inbuilt speakers, as good as I hear that they are. I don't use them because I have my Yamaha HS7 speakers, and it also has a webcam as well, which was one of the selling features for me to purchase this if I had a Mac Studio. And I was looking at purchasing a Mac Studio, but in the end, I've ended up deciding on keeping my MacBook Pro, and that already has a great display and a webcam built into it already. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to use these extra features. And personally for me, if I'm not going to be using those extra features, I would really like to have an option to have a cheaper model that might knock off a few $100s to get this monitor to come into a price range which does seem a little bit more realistic. Overall, my first impressions of the price tag for this Studio Display is it is overpriced. However, Apple have done a really good job at marketing this display and also pricing it to the point where, although I am well aware that this monitor is overpriced for what it is, it's not so overpriced that it is out of the realm of possibility of me to be able to purchase it. It's priced at that perfect amount, I believe, that if you are a video producer and you really want to have a nice 5K display, you want to have those extra Thunderbolt accessories to be able to plug directly into the monitor as opposed to into your MacBook Pro. And if you really do want to have those speakers and that webcam, it really is a very tempting display to purchase. Yes, there are cheaper options. There are plenty of videos on the internet right now that show other alternatives, but personally for me, when I look at this studio display, it looks so good, the actual image, that it does inspire me to want to create. And that's something that I can't necessarily say with other screens that I've used in the past or other screens that I've seen in shops when I've just been browsing the monitor section. There is something about this display that once you see it and you use it, you don't want to go back to anything else. That's my personal experience, and you might not really get that impression by watching videos online. You'll need to go into a store or see someone else that actually has the studio display to be able to see it in real life and then form an opinion based off that, as opposed to pictures or videos online. So they're my overall thoughts on the Apple Studio display. It is overpriced, but at the end of the day, I was still happy to pay for it because of all the extra features that it offers that other monitors don't, and the way that it does positively affect my workflow. And that's the video. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel for more videos on video creation in the future.